time ago. In the timeline far away from us now, there used to be a time when Ubuntu was the darling of the Linux world, and yes, of course, still to this day, you could argue it still is, obviously. But back then, everyone thought Ubuntu and Unity as one thing, and of course, for many years, that's how it was when Ubuntu moved away from GNOME or GNOME. Uh, when that project moved to version 3, Ubuntu was like, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do our own interface system as well. Granted, using some GTK libraries in the back end, but still needed. And of course, for many, many years, Unity was popular and Unity was used. And of course, as the sands of time moved forward, well, Unity was gone. Ubuntu moved back to GNOME, and Unity got forked, and that's all we heard. Until last year, really, when this developer, a couple of developers, of course, have been keeping Unity alive, released Ubuntu Remix with Unity, and it came out and was quite popular. And of course, the latest version is out, which is based on Ubuntu 22.04 LTS. And basically, essentially, what they've done is they've brought back Unity, so Unity 7 to be technically correct. Couple of modernizations to it, plucked onto Ubuntu's new stable base, and released it. And I'm happy to say, I believe from next year, Ubuntu Unity will be recognized as an official Ubuntu distro, or spin, should I say. So, let's take a look. So what I did was, I went ahead and I actually downloaded the latest Ubuntu the latest Ubuntu Unity ISO and installed it. The only thing I've done differently here is I've just installed the VirtualBox graphics drivers. The Ubuntu installation here was the standard Ubuntu installation, so I'm not going to bore you with that. But let's take a look. So here, of course, is the standard wallpaper, and of course here we have our dearest friend, good old Unity 7. And of course you can see here, the nice thing is if you open it up, just like in the past before, you could work on filtering your results. Did you just want to see your applications? A couple of sources. Do you want files and folders? Because Unity, of course, and now as it was in the past, could also search for files and folders. Kind of didn't always work as great. But let's say you knew what application you wanted. So let's say I want to type in something like called text. I could type text in, and even if it doesn't have the specific application called text, it would know what equivalent applications to install. So here, for example, they have Pluma. So what they have done with this is taken some of the default applications that come with normal Ubuntu and swapped them out for a couple of others, VLC, Pluma, etc., just because it fits better with the overall GUI. As you can see here, as in the past, the global menu is back, and it still works the same as it ever did in Unity. Go to the top, and of course you can see all of the default options again. Really great. Close that. Go back here. Close these off. Right. And of course you can, like before, browse the applications you have in the past. So if you wanted to click on the results, you could click on the results. You could even start filtering the results, and let's say I just wanted internet applications and hit Firefox. Firefox will load. This still uses Snapbacks, so no changes to Ubuntu Snapback Foundation there, but of course, as you can see on the left hand side, as you're waiting for an application to launch, it gives you the little icon, and when it does, it actually highlights in orange to get your attention. So far works just like the original Unity did. Um, no difference really, of course. Some additional HUD stuff doesn't actually work anymore, but the default settings and how it looks and pinning items works exactly the same. So let's say I was to open up Bloomer and I want to pin it, right click on it, lock it to the launcher, I can quit, and of course here it is. And of course great, like in the past with some applications that they supported, you could right click and it would give you the option of private window, new tab, here, LibreOffice Write, new document, etc. Set system settings, take a look at that. Still the old system settings that it used to use, and of course all really here. As you can see by default, as I already mentioned, it's Unity 7.6 on the newest Ubuntu base, and pretty nice. Normal options are all still here if you remember these days, and I have to admit it still works pretty well. Seems to be pretty fast, pretty decent. You can of course customize the theme a little bit, and the appearance doesn't look exactly the same as it used to, but it's been slightly updated or modernized. What I like as well, of course, if I hit start and I go to Unity Tweak Tool, which comes with this, you can of course start doing customizations. So towards the end of the original Unity's life, this tool came out, and the great thing was you could customize things. So for example, your icons, did you want them to be wiggly? What location did you want? Did you want to make the panel auto hide? Really great options. Do you want to change the indicator clock from a 12-hour to 24-hour clock? Transparency switches. HUD unfortunately isn't really supported anymore. And the HUD was basically, you could be in an application, you could be in something, and if you had the plugins for it, you could go and type in specific commands. Here, of course, icon settings, which icon themes do you want to use, or here, switcher, or here, as we've seen, window manager options, and even it's incredible to believe that some of the more popular things we've gotten used to over the years, such as the hot corners, were already around in the Unity's days. You didn't have to wait for the newer versions of GNOME or KDE or whatever to use it. Same with window snapping, etc. All of these have existed and existed for a very, very long time. I do find some of the features don't always seem to work as well, but definitely it's a great blast from the past, and really happy to see it's going to be considered really part of the Ubuntu family again. So taking a look at some of the tech stuff, what I do find is that when I type in something, it does tend to be a little bit slow. Again, could also be because I'm running this in a virtual machine with 4 gigs of memory. So what I want to do quickly is let's just take a look at the specific kernel we shipped with. So we've got 5.15 and August 11th roughly compiled, and of course memory is something that it uses quite a lot, or not too much of, if taken into account it's only used really just over a gig of memory, which is really great. But something that I find concerns me, I don't think we have htop installed. No, we don't. Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna actually be naughty, and I'm gonna use the GUI tool here, just because it's installed. It'll save us some time. So we get to System Monitor, and what I found was that CPU usage is pretty high. An old Compass, so basically, you remember, a lot of people remember this from back in the day, and this was the tool utility that used to help for on the graphical side of things. It also would give graphical effects apart from the basic stuff, and the only thing I see is that on my machine, its CPU usage, specifically for Compass, idles at 23%, and then goes up to anything up to 40% plus. And I definitely do find that at times I can feel that it slows down. So it's definitely doing some form of impact. I don't know if it's maybe the way I set up the virtual machine, if it's how it interacts on VirtualBox. At some point, I'm actually gonna install this on more native hardware and just to see how it works out. But apart from that, the normal stuff, it's so great to basically see where over time when Ubuntu was more popular and over time when we had more viable options for desktop GUI. And I have to admit, I think, Unity, considering it is now it's getting on in years, and in technology years, obviously things go on for even longer. I think it's aged very well, and I think it shows just how more advanced at the time and how much more promising Unity was. So I'm hoping that at least the developers continue working on Unity 7. Hopefully one day we'll get Unity 8, which was supposed to be a replacement that never came. But from a distro-wise, at the moment, it's a great distro. It reminds me of, if I step back into Time Machine, no issues apart from the slightly high CPU usage. Installation was smooth. Updating's been smooth. Everything has been smooth, and I really feel like I'm just using Ubuntu from long ago. So yeah, I'd love to hear your comments about it, and as always, thanks for watching.